and welcome. Tonight, improvised explosive device planted by suspected Boko Haram terrorists along Maiduguri-Damboa Road kills 8 people, injured several commuters in Borno State. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security meets IMF delegation, says federal government will continue to prioritize the welfare of the most vulnerable. APC National Chairman Abdullahi Ganduje and members of the party's National Working Committee visit former President Muhammadu Buhari in Kaduna. And the United States government exempts smartphones, computers and other electronic devices from reciprocal tariffs, including the 125% levies imposed on Chinese imports.
And on business, Fitch reviews Nigeria's credit rating from negative to stable, cites confidence in President Bola Tinubu's economic policy reforms within the last 2 years.
And on sports news tonight, Carlos Alcaraz sets up a clash with Italy's Lorenzo Musetti after booking his place in the final of the Monte Carlo Masters for the first time in his career.
The military and other security operatives need more support to contain the resurgence of Boko Haram terrorists in Borno State. The governor, Professor Babagana Zulu, made this clear when he visited victims of an explosion which occurred along Maiduguri-Damboa Road, leaving 8 people dead and 21 others injured. According to reports, the incident is as a result of an improvised explosive device planted by Boko Haram terrorists on the deserted road which passes through the Sambisa forest. The Maiduguri-Damboa Road links several local government areas in southern Borno and has been a hotspot for Boko Haram terrorists for over a decade.
It is very unfortunate this thing has happened this time around. For the last 1 year or so, we have not witnessed IED explosion between Maiduguri and Damboa Road. But unfortunately, the road was closed for about 1 month. And I believe this is one of the reasons why the insurgents have decided to come and plant IEDs because of lack of vehicular movement along the road. But I want to advise the communities to be resilient enough. I want to advise the Nigerian army to be resilient enough. 8 lost their lives. 7 were severely injured and 14 experienced minor injuries.
Another explosion has occurred, and this time in Yobe State, as suspected Boko Haram insurgents have blown up 3 cell culverts in Juba local government area. The security advisor to the governor, retired Brigadier General Dahiru Abdul Salam, who confirmed the incident to Channels Television, says the suspected insurgents used improvised explosive devices to cause the mayhem. He explained that motorists plying the road are using diversions in the riverine area and other alternative routes to reach Goniri, one of the busiest communities in the area. The locals have appealed to the state government and military brigade located in that area to urgently reconstruct the culvert to allow free movement and also secure the area. In Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, a petrol tanker has exploded at the toll gate end of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. The explosion reportedly occurred around 3 p.m. along the Lead City University Road, with businesses within that vicinity suffering huge losses. Some of the cars and motorcycles parked alongside the road have also been damaged. The manager of the Oyo State Fire Service, Mr. Akinyinka Akinyemi, who confirmed the incident, noted that the combined efforts of the state and federal fire service has helped curtail the blaze. No mention of any casualty has been made at the time of filing this report. The Niger state government has received 17 people who were rescued in Kaduna State by the police in collaboration with the Office of the National Security Advisor. The victims abducted on March the 3rd from several villages in Munya local government area were handed over to the state government during a ceremony at the command's headquarters in Minna, the state capital.
Munya and Shiroro local government areas have been hotspots for banditry activities in Niger State. However, there has been a reduction in such incidents over the past 2 years. According to the State Deputy Governor, this is thanks to the government's efforts and partnership with security agencies. He was speaking during a ceremony at the command headquarters in Minna, where 17 kidnapped victims, including 15 from the same family who were rescued in Kaduna State, were being handed over to the Niger State government.
His Excellency directed we should not be quick in connecting them with their families until we give them adequate healthcare attention and other attendance that will bring their life back to normal. And you can see then there are 17 in number which they have handed over to us, and their family are here. But we will not release them immediately until we acted based on the directive of His Excellency. We will take them further for medical checkup and other attendance. Thereafter, we will ensure that their psychological trauma is being reduced. I want to use this opportunity first to thank Mr. President, the Commander-in-Chief of Nigerian Armed Forces, President, our father, the President Ahmed Tinubu, for his efforts since his ascension to office. You can bear me witness that actually the issue of insecurity is gradually reducing.
The Commissioner of Police, who handed over the victims, described the rescue as a result of non-kinetic efforts, highlighting the collaborative approach between the police and the Office of the National Security Advisor.
They went in collaboration with the Office of the National Security Advisor. They used a non-kinetic, method of rescuing them. And they brought them. He immediately drew my attention. He told me, of which I now moved to the government and I informed them. They were moved to the Inspector General of Police Office, where the press briefing was held, and yesterday I went there and I took them over from the Office of the Inspector General of Police and I brought them back here.
The state government has pledged to provide medical and social support to help the victims overcome the traumatic experience.
A major breakthrough for the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, as it has destroyed heaps of illicit drugs weighing about 1.6 million kilograms seized across Lagos, Ogun and Oyo State in what is till date the largest volume of seizures to be burnt at once in the history of the agency. The public destruction was conducted at an isolated location along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Ogun State. Its chairman, Chief Executive Officer, retired Brigadier General Buba Marwa, says the exercise is a testament to the agency's commitment to tackling the scourge of drug trafficking in the country. He believes the sheer volume of seizures shows how much these illegal products have infiltrated the society and the need to ensure they are completely destroyed to safeguard the lives of Nigerians. Meanwhile, 27 suspected drug peddlers have been arrested for the sale of illicit substances and hard drugs, handing over the suspects to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency at Apapa, Lagos. The executive officer, NNS Beecroft, Captain Idongesit Odoesen, who represented the naval commander, said the successful raid and arrest was as a result of credible intelligence received by the base, while the NDLEA says it will investigate and properly prosecute those found culpable.
Our base, the Nigerian Navy ship Beecroft, on Saturday, the 5th of April, conducted a raid at an identified criminal safe haven at Gidan Drama, which is located at Mandu Road in Apapa. It was based on credible information that we received of suspected drug peddlers in that area, which necessitated the deployment of our Operations Mesa team, and we conducted a raid. During the raid, a total of 27 suspected drug peddlers, comprising 3 females and 24 males, were arrested with hard drugs and other illicit substances, as you can see here. The successful conduct of this operation underscores the Nigerian Navy and the Nigerian Navy shipbuilders' unwavering commitments to curtailing the spread of illicit drugs amongst our youths, which adversely affects their health and threatens our national security.
Formerly, like the codeine we have here, were being sold in our various pharmacies, but because of the abuse of such drugs, they were listed under drugs to be controlled. Meanwhile, they seized the opportunity to be selling these drugs to our youth, members of the community and all that, and it's really affecting them. So we really appreciate the effort of the active efforts of the Nigerian Navy.
To other issues now, the federal government says it will continue to prioritize the welfare of the most vulnerable, even as its economic reforms bear fruit. The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Mr. Abubakar Kyari, stated this during a meeting with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, Mission Chief for Nigeria at the ministry's headquarters in Abuja. The minister added that some loopholes in the agricultural sector still need to be addressed by the government.
The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security is meeting with the delegation of the International Monetary Fund, led by the Mission Chief for Nigeria. The meeting is looking at ways to tackle widespread hunger in the country and profile solutions in the agricultural sector.
The changes in development assistance.
The IMF delegation is leading the conversation on the outlook of the agriculture economy at this meeting.
Is really a foundation for the work that we do when we start trying to analyze what are the growth trajectories, what does it mean for fiscal policy, what does it mean for monetary policy, and really importantly, what does it mean for Nigerians.
After his remarks, the minister states his plight.
There were a lot of challenges, 2021, 2022, 2022. We also had some policies like the Naira redesign at that time, just at the point of harvest, which was introduced somewhere around October, November of 2022. And that also impacted on the cash supply in a lot of our rural areas. So what needs to be done now is to see how we can increase yield in the present space that we have. So research in terms of good yield and utilization of land is very, very important.
He underscores the intervention by the Tinubu-led government in the agriculture sector.
On one side, the government is also doing, with so much effort in trying to free up a lot of those trapped lands, of which we have seen the efforts of the armed forces in trying to free up those lands, whether it was under terrorist siege or banditry or secessionist movements and things like that. And I'm happy to say the year 2024 cultivation had a significant improvement in terms of availability of land.
Inflation-sensitive crops: onion, tomato, and pepper. These three things, anytime their price goes up in the market, it has the tendency of making every other thing to have increased price. So the ministry is working very hard to see that we do something about the seasonality that these crops bring.
With this crucial meeting, the IMF has committed to partnering with the ministry to promote a flourishing agriculture sector landscape in the country.
In part two, after the break, National Chairman of the APC, Abdullahi Ganduje, and members of the party's National Working Committee visit former President Muhammadu Buhari in Kaduna. That's in a moment. Join us again. Back if you just joined us, watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. Improvised explosive device planted by suspected Boko Haram terrorists along Maiduguri-Damboa Road kills 8 people, injures several commuters in Borno State. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security meets IMF delegation, says federal government will continue to prioritize the welfare of the most vulnerable. APC National Chairman Abdullahi Ganduje and members of the party's National Working Committee visit former President Muhammadu Buhari in Kaduna. And the United States government exempts smartphones, computers, and some other electronic devices from reciprocal tariffs, including the 125% levies imposed on Chinese imports. The Lagos State government has allayed fears regarding the flood being experienced in the Lagos Island area, assuring residents that necessary measures are in place to effectively manage the situation. The State Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Mr. Tokunbo Wahab, who spoke to journalists after an assessment tour of the area, says once the urban regeneration project is completed, perennial flooding will be a thing of the past.
The ever-busy Lagos Island is currently ravaged by flooding owing to the ongoing road and drainage constructions in the area. Aruloya Street, Ojogiwa, Binuyo, Idumagbo and other areas are all taken over, affecting business activities and exposing the people to waterborne diseases. It's a pathetic situation, adversely affecting daily routine as residents wade through the murky waters, while vehicles are also given the extra push to get to their destinations.
We appeal to the President and the Lagos State Governor to please come to our aid and do something about the flood situation.
The situation has brought Lagos State government officials, led by the Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Mr. Tokunbo Wahab, and officials from the Office of Works and Infrastructure to see things for themselves. The team notes human activity and indiscriminate dumping of refuse has contributed to the environmental challenge. Nevertheless, Mr. Wahab apologizes to the people as he reiterates that the ongoing urban regeneration project will address the perennial flooding issues in the area.
We are giving out the job to regenerate the whole of Lagos Island with urban planning, drainage, and then road infrastructure. And they are raising the road height of the road as well as that of the drainage. And you've seen the quality of what is being done there. And then we're also pumping out the water. We have to dam in some areas and then pump out the water to allow them walk in other areas. So that caused a bit of inconvenience for islanders, and we apologize, and we are still apologizing. You see, you can't make the egg without breaking the. We can't make the omelette without breaking the egg. So the inconvenience is temporary for us to give a permanent solution to what had become a disturbing phenomenon on Lagos Island for a while.
The governor announces that a temporary pump station has also been set up to mitigate the flood while the construction work continues.
We also took a walk to see how we've been able to do the enforcement around the Ojaoba Adeniji under bridge. And then we came here now to see what they are doing to help us discharge the storm water into the lagoon. We just want to beg our citizens and appeal to them. There's no need for you to put your waste on the road or by the median of the road or throw them into the drainage system. It's a recipe for crisis beyond flooding, health challenges and other things. So, but on our part, we keep doing the advocacy, and then we also not just dangle the carrot. We can also enforce and sanction people that are not ready to comply.
The state government reminds the people that its efforts may be in vain if they continue to hamper it, and orders demolition of illegal shanties on the drainage channel of King Ado High School in Ojogiwa, assuring the people of speedy completion of ongoing projects in Lagos Island.
To politics now. The national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Abdullahi Ganduje, has outlined how his party has experienced growth in strength and popularity in the last 2 years, which has positioned it not just as the ruling party in Nigeria, but the largest party in Africa. Mr. Ganduje stated this when he led other members of the APC National Working Committee on a courtesy visit to former President Muhammadu Buhari at his residence in Kaduna State.
In recent times, the Kaduna residence of former President Muhammadu Buhari has been buzzing with an influx of visitors, mostly politicians from different political parties. Although still a member of the ruling All Progressives Congress, the former president has been hosting many politicians from different political parties since he returned to his Kaduna residence from Daura in Katsina State. The latest of the high-profile visitors is the APC National Chairman Abdullahi Ganduje, who led members of the party's National Working Committee on a courtesy visit to the former president. His visit comes a few hours after some members of opposition political parties, led by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, visited. Like other visitors, Ganduje says the visit is to pay post-Salah homage to the former president and also intimate him on the activities of the party and the successes recorded so far under his leadership. Amongst other things, he says the APC has witnessed remarkable membership growth as a result of intra-party coordination between the leadership and members, as well as retaining its position as the largest party in Africa.
Today, we have in our fold the former Senate President, Anyim Pius Anyim, the former Labour Party governorship candidate in Borno State, Edwin Nkwegu, Senator Obinna Oba, Senator Uche Ikwenife from Anambra State, and thousands of their followers are now in our party constituency. I would like to specifically acknowledge and applaud the consistent and continued support of the former president to our great party. For recent, the former president has publicly maintained and associated himself with the party by stating in clear and unequivocal terms that he remains an APC member.
In his response, former President Muhammadu Buhari thanks the APC leadership for the visit, assuring them of his continued support to the party.
I assure you that we have this patriotic intention in mind when we came to build the party. And we thank God that Nigerians, majority of Nigerians, understood and accepted the party. This is not a small success in a complex country like Nigeria. So I think I congratulate him.
Speaking to journalists, the APC national chairman dismissed the opposition ganging up against President Tinubu and their visits to former President Muhammadu Buhari, stating that the coalition would not work. He also speaks on the alleged lopsidedness of the federal appointments made by President Tinubu, describing the appointments as dynamic.
Concerning the group that came to see him, that is not of concern to us. This is just history trying to repeat itself. They won't have a joint venture, which will not work. Appointment of members to public offices is dynamic. So you will see from time to time, these people are appointed here and there. So, but we are coming up with true figures of the appointment to show you that there is no skewedness in the appointment of Mr. President.
Having piloted the affairs of the APC in the last 1.5 years, Ganduje says the party has made significant progress by initiating a number of notable policies and programs aimed at repositioning the party for greater gains.
In Delta State, despite mounting protests trailing INEC's delineation of electoral wards in Warri South local government area, the Ogbejo people are calling for more representation, not less. They say the commission has done well with the exercise, but are asking for more wards for their communities.
Reactions have trailed the presentation of the field work on the delineation exercise executed by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, notably the recent protests that followed the shutting down of oil facilities by youths of Ishekiri extraction. In what appears a counter-response to this week's protests, the Ogbejo people have thrown their weight behind INEC's report on delineation in Warri South. Held in Warri South Federal Constituency, this press briefing presents an opportunity for Ogbejo leaders to present their own understanding of INEC's delineation report. They describe the protest by Shekiri youths as a distraction and an attempt to rewrite history. Leading the group, its principal secretary points out that INEC's current delineation process follows a Supreme Court ruling from 2022 and includes inputs from all ethnic stakeholders, including the Shekiri. They argued that if they had 4 wards in 1955, then by today's standards, 5 homogeneous wards should be the minimum.
The Ogbejo people state that their area should have been delineated into at least 5 homogeneous electoral wards. If the Ogbejo people had 4 electoral wards far back in 1955, it is only fair for the number to be increased decades after. We therefore call for the creation of more electoral wards for Ijos in Warri Urban and also urge the Independent National Electoral Commission to disregard frivolous protest against the delineation exercise in Warri South local government area by the Shekiri.
Citing the 1955 Western Region Law, which established the Warri Urban District Council, the group's representative explains that Ijo communities of Ogbejo have always been part of Warri South, and so their requests for more wards are legitimate.
The Shekiri people say that we are not part of Warri Southwest, and that is not true. They are misrepresenting the entire nation. Before 1953, we had 3 wards. We had wards in the 1953. And those wards, after some time, from the records you see, our units were now balkanized into various units, and to make us not relevant in the political system in Warri South. So those were the issues we have canvassed, and we are telling INEC that we are part of Warri South.
The group is calling on INEC to disregard what it describes as frivolous opposition from the Shekiri, saying the delineation is not about land, but about restoring political fairness and rightful representation in Warri South local government area of Delta State.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Vinci reviews Nigeria's credit rating from negative to stable, cites confidence in the president's economic policy reforms within the last 2 years. That's on Business News. Please stay with us. Welcome back. In the light of the fallout of the United States global tariffs, the UNDP Regional Director has asked African leaders to reorganize their economies to benefit the people. She expressed her thoughts during a visit to Channels Television's headquarters in Lagos, where she met with the chairman CEO, Dr. John Momo. Our correspondent, Amarachi Ubani, reports that discussions also touched on the role of the African media in controlling the narrative of the continent's stories.
The UN Assistant Secretary General and the UNDP Regional Director, Ahunna Ezeakonwa's visit to Channels Television was her first to Africa's leading media voice. She and her entourage were led into the founder's boardroom by the chairman, CEO of Channels Media Group, Dr. John Momo, accompanied by some senior management members.
All the programs spirited, lots of gumption.
Enthusiasm and bigger.
There she expresses her delight in meeting the visionary of the broadcaster, which she had admired from afar and now has the opportunity of experiencing.
We really appreciate co-creating solutions on how we tell Africa's story, how we help build back the confidence of the people.
The chairman, CEO of Channels Media Group, Dr. John Momo, said it was always his dream to keep Channels Television as an African broadcaster because it is important that Africa controls the narrative of her stories.
The important thing, the greater thing is for us to be able to continue to be in the driver's seat and control the narrative. And that's how Channels is growing and growing, and we're trying to roll out a Pan-African news service.
Sitting down for a brief chat later, Mrs. Ezeakonwa addressed the challenges of the UNDP carrying out its work in a world of global economic uncertainty and potential funding cuts in light of the recent tariff war going on between the US and China. She says the agency has become more ingenious in handling the changes so as not to be distracted.
We have to adapt to the changes and the new realities and the difficulties that many countries will face, and the shrinking space of multilateralism. So it's a kind of a double whammy.
She emphasizes the need for African leaders to turn attention towards the continent, harnessing her vast resources for the benefit of the people and shoring up its economy to withstand external shocks.
Why can't we prioritize our people? Why can't we say that Africa's money needs to work for Africa's people? We're generating a lot of resources, but a lot of it is escaping. Illicit financial flows up to $90 billion a year lost. But we then go with a begging bowl for the same money to be returned in form of aid with ties and in form of loans that have very high interest rates.
Mrs. Ezeakonwa is later given a tour of the Channels Television global headquarters, after which promises are made for deepening partnership between the UNDP and the broadcaster. Amarachi Ubani, Channels Television News.
The governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, has received the Good Governance Award in Infrastructure at the Vanguard Personality of the Year Awards 2024, held at the Eko Hotel and Suites, Victoria Island, Lagos. Governor Uzodinma dedicated the honor to God as well as the people of Imo State and reassured them of his administration's commitment to deliver more impactful projects over the next 3 years. Our correspondent, Eitokwe Kuchei, has this report.
To excellence.
It's a night of recognitions and excellence at the Convention Hall of the Hotel and Suites, Victoria Island, Lagos, for the prestigious Vanguard Personality of the Year Awards 2024. The 2024 edition of the event, which is marked by glamour, entertainment, and the celebration of excellence across various sectors of the Nigerian economy, lived up to expectations as they attracted dignitaries and top personalities from all walks of life. Governor Uzodinma of Imo State was in attendance with his wife. The governors of Anambra, Delta, Kano, Bayelsa, Ekiti, and Jigawa states among the rich cast of distinguished guests and achievers to be honored and celebrated. The editor of Vanguard newspapers, Mr. Eze Anaba, in his opening remarks, notes that the awards aim to recognize and celebrate individuals whose outstanding achievements have positively impacted the nation.
Getting this cast of awardees was like looking for a needle in a haystack. it was quite challenging. At the end of the day, we got what we wanted. Formidable individuals, our awardees have set exemplary standards through their dedication, creativity, and passion. And it's our privilege to acknowledge their hard work and accomplishments.
Congratulations to
Next comes the business of the day as the awards presentation commences. When it's time to present the Good Governance Award in Infrastructure to Governor Uzodinma of Imo State, the lot fell on former military governor of that state, General Ike Nwachukwu. In his response, Governor Uzodinma reaffirms his commitment to leave Imo State better than he met it.
I give glory to everyone my God, and I thank him for his mercies. And also thank the people of Imo State. Like you know, the mouth of the people and the voice of the people is the voice of God. So the only thing we can continue to do is to give God the glory and continue to pray that he give us the sustaining strength to keep doing what we are doing. That has led to this award.
Other notable award recipients include Governor Sheriff Oborewori, Abba Yusuf, Charles Soludo, Doye Diri, Abiodun Oyebanji, and Umar Namadi, each recognized for their respective contributions to good governance and development in their states. The ceremony also pays tribute to two prominent elder statesmen, Pa Edwin Clark and Pa Ayo Adebanjo, who passed away in February. Both were posthumously honored for their lifelong service and dedication to the nation. Ejitopo Kutoyi, Channels Television News.
The OML-25 oil facility located in Kula Kingdom, Akukutoro local government area of River State, has been shut down since 2010 due to a lingering dispute between the host community and former operator Shell Petroleum Development Company. An agreement was reached in 2019, but community leaders say there are still some unresolved issues. Speaking with journalists shortly after a meeting between the community and the company in the eastern zone in Port Harcourt, the Kula people expressed disappointment over the manner Shell divested without consulting them and have made some demands in order for operations to resume. Our correspondent, Deborah Agbalama, has the rest of the story.
The OML-25, once a major crude oil production facility producing up to 45,000 barrels per day, has remained shut for years due to dispute between the host Kula communities and Shell. While a 2019 agreement brokered by the federal government sought to restore operations, community leaders say aspects of that deal, including employment, development, and environmental remediation, were never fulfilled. Now, with Shell having divested its interest in OML-25 and other eastern assets to Renaissance Africa Energy, fresh tensions have emerged. Kula leaders say they were not consulted about the handover and are now calling on Renaissance to start on a clean slate by engaging with host communities in Kula Kingdom directly.
Our youth from this extraction have been deprived for over 67 years. No employment. For beginning of Shell operating in Kula, they have never employed one person in Kula community till today for the left. And today, the same 40 foundation have started and they're engaging us with people that Shell have clearly paid off. And they are using those people to come and engage us. You will not see where the crack has started. As a youth president of this country and from this extraction, I will agitate before any operations or any engagement starts, the Renaissance will engage with the community stakeholders and get employment from them before any engagement or any exploration starts.
Saying we want them to give us an audience to have a discussion with the community before ever they do any exploration activities in our area.
Among the demands is that the company nominated by the community be involved in the running of OML 25, as agreed in previous discussions involving NNPC, Shell, and Belema Oil. The people say anything short of that would mean continued shutdown of the facility.
67 years of their existence, we have not seen any meaningful project. They cannot point to any meaningful project. They refuse to employ our sons and daughters, and today these people are going, they have left. We ask religions, will they employ our people? The remediations, they have not done. There are a lot of remediations work to be done. But now that Shell is going, we have told them we will not cooperate until those liabilities are accepted. They have agreed to discuss it further with government. They are not categorical on whether they are to carry out their liabilities or not, but we assure them if they will carry out those liabilities, we will definitely work with them.
Efforts to get a response from officials of Renaissance after the meeting was unsuccessful as they left immediately. I later visited their office at around 1 p.m. on Friday in a bid to get the perspective of the management on the matter. Upon arrival, security personnel asked us to park outside and directed us to the security supervisor on duty. She asked us to wait while she tried reaching the communication department. After more than 2 hours, she returned to inform us that no one from the media team was available, even when it was during regular working hours. A message was also sent to Mr. Michael Lakande, the head of communication department, asking for their view. He replied but said nothing on the cola issues. Where I'm standing is just in front of the road that leads you directly to Renaissance Africa Energy. Used to be called Shell Petroleum Development Company. There was a meeting yesterday and I couldn't get their comments because they left after the meeting. I'm right here again today and I've spent over 2 hours trying to see if I can see anyone in the communication unit that would speak to me and give me their perception of the whole matter and what is the future with Cola and OML 25. However, the security that attended to me said that there was no one available to speak to me from the media department after spending over 2 hours waiting to get audience. Anyways, at this time, Kolo communities, which comprises of Ngeje, Ofoyama, Belema, and Kola communities, are saying that until they get a concrete assurance that the agreement with Shell still stands with Renaissance, that they would not allow them go close to OML 25 for resumption. Until that is done, they say their oil will remain in the ground. From Port Harcourt, the River State capital, Deborah Abalama, Channels Television News.
Contractors handling the rehabilitation and construction work in schools across 3 senatorial districts in Edo State have been directed to deliver quality projects within the stipulated time. To ensure this directive is met, a team of officials from the State's Ministry of Education, led by the Commissioner for Education, Mr. Padiyamu, have continued to embark on an inspection exercise to the different schools. Our correspondent, Jessica Ologosere, has this report.
Work is in progress at Army Day Secondary School in Benin City, the Edo State capital, when the Education Commissioner and his team arrived at the school. The team subsequently takes its tour to New Era College, where the workers are seen attending to their duties. At Eraike Secondary School, the projects includes the renovation of a block of 6 classrooms and offices.
The governor has given a directive, as we all know, there's a state of emergency on bad schools in Edo State. And the governor has given a clear mandate and clear instructions that before our students come back to school, they must have access to quality education in quality buildings from quality teachers. So we are running with this vision and with this program to ensure that we achieve and deliver as expected.
Other schools visited in the state capital include Uyosa Primary School in a Haikwe axis of Benin City.
Yeah, this school be before. This school, nobody they enter. This school, erosion they food this school. They only feel enter. Children self, they only even they see where play. If rain fall, they only feel enter this school before.
Mr. Yamu attributes the transformation drive to Governor Okpewolo's vision for a better Edo focused on delivering lasting benefits.
We will deliver and make every Edo child proud. Because indeed, the governor is a listening governor, is a caring governor, and is a man, as we always say, that says what he means and means whatever he says. He said it, and this is the implementation of practical governance.
Aside from the renovation of the buildings and provision of furniture, the state government also addresses the challenge of encroachment and unlawful entry with perimeter fencing. Jessica Olubuse, Channels Television News.
Let's check out what's happening in the world of business. Willie Bong has details. Thank you, Melinda. Now, global rating agency Fitch has revised its outlook on Nigeria's long-term foreign currency issuer default ratings IDR from negative to stable. At the same time, the international ratings firm also upgraded the country's rating from B negative to B. In a statement released on its website, Fitch says the decision for the upgrade is driven by renewed confidence in Nigeria's policy direction following the implementation of significant economic reforms by President Bola Tinubu's administration since June 2023. These include exchange rate liberalization, monetary policy tightening, and steps to end deficit monetization and remove fuel subsidies. Fitch explains that the reforms have improved Nigeria's policy coherence and credibility and has helped to reduce economic distortions and short-term risks to macroeconomic stability. Now, Nigeria's foreign exchange reserves have sustained a decline for the fourth consecutive week as they fell by $102 million week to week to $38.04 billion as at April the 10th, according to latest data from the central bank. Financial analysts attribute the moderate continued decrease in the country's dollar reserves to the persistent intervention by the CBN after the regulator sold about $634.85 million to authorized banks, which helped to mitigate a steeper devaluation of the Naira's exchange rate. Meanwhile, currency traders say they expect the Naira may remain under pressure amid persistent global uncertainty driven by the U.S. tariff-induced trade tensions that continue to trigger capital outflows. Now, still with foreign exchange issues, trading activities at the FMDQ exchange ended in the green this week as total turnover of transactions carried out climbed to more than $2.71 billion. Now, the amount represents a 72.9% week-on-week surge against the more than $1.56 billion value of transactions reported last week. According to the FMDQ, the week-on-week increase in total turnover was solely driven by transactions in the FX sports segment of the market. Meanwhile, there was a lack of activity in FX forwards, derivatives, as well as the exchange-traded FX futures segment of the market. Let's turn our attention now to the equities market. The bear took hold of the domestic stock market this week as the all-share index fell by 0.9% due to intense sell pressures by investors in 3 trading sessions. This comes in the week which is seen as one of the most volatile for major global markets following the spillover impact of tariff announcements by U.S. President Donald Trump from last week and the retaliation from the world's second-largest economy, China. The sell pressure on the local exchange mostly affected the insurance sector of the NGX, which fell by nearly 5%, while the banking sector followed closely with more than 2% decline. The shares of VFD Group top list of 27 gainers, with Royal Exchange leading the pack of 55 losers, while the trio of Access Holdings, GTCO, and Zenith Bank were the major contributors to a total of 2.09 billion shares traded this week. Now over to the NASD OTC counter, where we see performance ending the week in the red as the index dropped by 0.96% week to date with a lower market cap of 1.92 trillion naira. The decline comes from the back of losses from some high-value securities on the market, which include Afriland Properties, Friesland Campina Wamco, and Infrastructure Credit Company on the top 3 list. On the other hand, Mixed Real Estate, First Trust Mortgage Bank, and Lagos Building Investment Company were the top 3 advances this week. A total volume of 171.38 securities were traded for more than 4.79 billion naira in 82 deals within the week. And that's a wrap on business. It's back to Melinda for the rest of the news at 10. Many thanks, Will. Stakeholders in the power sector have called on the federal government to accelerate its current efforts to address the liquidity crisis, which has hampered more power generation. Speaking at a Power and Energy Sector Roundtable in Lagos, the Managing Director of the Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited and the Director General of the National Power Training Institute of Nigeria praised the steps being taken by the current administration, but called for fast-tracking of the process. The expectation of industry players is that an improvement in power generation capacity will enhance industrialization and expand energy supply to underserved communities.
We're not unmindful of the fact that, that there's a liquidity crisis across the sector. We all know that the government is owing generation companies very copiously, although we also know that the government has made some promises to ensure that they reduce the debt exposure, to the barest minimum. And so we're optimistic, and we know that once cash flow improves, then also our operational efficiency would improve.
The greatest challenge is the fact that human capacity development is an intangible asset. It's not something you can touch, it's not something you can see. So it's always easy to put it at the back burner of activities in the power sector. It becomes more of a challenge when you look at the fact, that the privatized utilities are really facing a lot of challenges in cash liquidity. This one has affected training, which should be a pivotal project, which will be on the front burner because human factor defines history, and also those who operate and maintain the power infrastructure needs to be highly skilled and well trained. So, but this issue of liquidity challenge has really affected, training. But I must really thank the Honorable Minister of Power for the political will and the support. This one is changing dimension, and then it's making it possible for us to play our vital role within the power sector.
Now let's find out what's happening in the world of sports. So Lumide Macaulay has details.
Thank you, Melinda. President Bola Tinubu extends his condolences to the family, friends, and associates of the Nigerian football icon, Christian Chukwu, who passed away today at the age of 74, leaving a void in the hearts of many football fans. President Tinubu prays for the repose of the departed sportsman and comfort for his family, hoping they find solace in his enduring legacy. The president joins the football community in mourning the loss of a legend whose contributions to the beautiful game of football elevated Nigeria's status globally. In the English Premier League, Manchester City roared back from 2 goals down to beat Crystal Palace 5-2 in a thrilling encounter at the Etihad. Brighton and Leicester City settled for a 2-2 draw at the American Express Stadium. In other matches, Abdullahi Doucouré scored a dramatic 94-minute winner as Everton dealt Nottingham Forest Champions League's hopes a huge blow with a 1-0 victory at the City ground. Aston Villa boosted their hopes of securing a second consecutive season of Champions League football with a 3-0 victory over already relegated Southampton. In the last day, Arsenal and Brentford settled for a 1-1 draw at the Emirates. Now in tennis, Carlos Alcaraz has continued his impressive start to his clay campaign at the Monte Carlo Masters, where he reached his first ATP Masters 1000 final in 13 months. Alcaraz earned a hard-fought 7-6, 6-4 victory over countryman Alejandro Davidovich Fokina to advance to his first final at this level since winning the Indian Wells last March. Now, the 21-year-old Spaniard let slip 3 set points in a testing 65-minute opener and ultimately needed 6 match points to reach his 23rd tour-level final. The world number 3 is chasing his maiden Masters trophy on the surface outside of Madrid.
Carlos Alcaraz moves into his first final at the Monte Carlo Country Club.
Meanwhile, Italy's Lorenzo Musetti edged out Australian Alex de Minaur 1-6, 6-4, 7-6 to reach the final of the Monte Carlo Masters at the Monte Carlo Country Club. Musetti came through a typically tenacious display over rival Alex de Minaur to secure his place in the final. The Italian, ranked number 16, will play second seed Carlos Alcaraz in Sunday's final.
Musetti on the run.
That's where we leave it on Sports News. Melinda, back to you.
Many thanks, Olumide. On the international scene, the United States government has exempted smartphones, computers, and some other electronic devices from reciprocal tariffs, including the 125% levies imposed on Chinese imports. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol published a notice late on Friday explaining the goods will be excluded from Mr. Trump's 10% global tariff on most countries and the larger Chinese import tax. The move comes after concerns from U.S. tech companies that the price of gadgets could rise, as many of them are made in China. The exemptions, backdated to April the 5th, also include other electronic devices and components. And the main news again. The governor of Borno State today said 8 people have died while several others were injured as a result of the explosion that rocked the Maiduguri-Damboa road as a result of improvised explosive device planted by suspected Boko Haram terrorists. Also today, the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security met with the IMF delegation, said the federal government will continue to prioritize the welfare of the most vulnerable. And the United States government has exempted smartphones, computers, and some other electronic devices from reciprocal tariffs, including the 125% levies imposed on Chinese imports. That's the news at 10 tonight. I'm Melinda Akinlami on behalf of the team. Good night.